is Lauren. I'm one of the passport coordinators this semester. This is just a reminder that if you do not sign in and out, that you don't get credit, so make sure that you have signed in and out. So it is a pleasure to introduce the ladies of the Mobile Federal Credit Union.
Good morning. I'm Allison. I'm the HR manager at MobilOil Credit Union, and I am going to be presenting this morning with Blythe Cox and with Sharita Gardner.
That's what I said, she's darling names.
They are business development representatives at MobilOil Credit Union, and we're excited this morning to discuss dressing for success and how to prepare yourself for your going out and getting your career and presenting yourself in your best light. So today we'll talk about making an impression, what that first impression looks like, how important that is, building a professional wardrobe. It's a lot easier than you think, specifics of dress, what's important in the workplace, and business professional attire versus business casual attire, because those are actually two different things. And we'll talk about, in a professional setting, what are some do's and don'ts as far as networking. So we'll go forward from there. So making an impression. Personally, I do a lot of interviewing in my as HR manager. So making an impression is very important. For every day, I can imagine at this point you guys have already formed some impression of your presenters today. So 55% of another person's perception of you is based on how you look, what you're wearing, how you project yourself. Are you confident? It's important to realize that you want to dress for the job that you want, not necessarily the job that you have. Saying that, you might want to be a doctor, and right now, you are a cook, not the same wardrobe. You want to dress accordingly, but you do want to dress up. Just because you're not the CEO doesn't mean that you want to come in every day looking like you just rolled out of bed. So it is important to dress and just present yourself in a way that will bring out your best light, have people look at you and expect the best out of you, because that's what you're going to present to them. So 75% of recruiters believe that how a person dresses for work affects one's job, salary, and possibly their promotion, which is true, because whenever you have people that, it's not all about dressing in the latest fashion or dressing, super professional. In our particular environment, you don't have to wear a suit and tie. That's not a mandatory thing. And but having someone that comes to work every day clean, not looking like they rolled out of bed, brushed your hair, brushed your teeth, your clothes are not wrinkled, you match. That is important in the workplace, because we as an industry are also presenting ourselves to our members, or depending on whatever your industry is, you have customers of some sort. So it is impression. It is important. Your first impression is always a lasting impression. So sometimes you have to go back and reverse that impression if you did not make a good initial first impression. Excuse me. A few quotes to remember. First impressions matter. Experts say that we size up a new person somewhere between 30 seconds and 2 minutes. So that's how I had an idea that you guys already had an impression formed of some of us. Good or bad, you had made some assumptions. Almost everyone will make a good first impression, but only a few will make a good lasting impression. Also, quote by Sonia Parker. Just to remember that, yes, you will definitely make an impression at first, but you definitely want to make sure that you're making a good first impression. Also, you never get a second chance to make a great first impression. You only get to meet that person for the first time, one time. So with that said, I'm going to turn this over to Blythe.
Hello.
And she'll start with how to build a professional wardrobe.
Wonderful. Thank you, Allison. I appreciate it. First of all, hey, welcome. Y'all doing okay? Awesome. So, we talked about, professionalism and your first impressions and this and that and the other. Like she just said, making a first impression, a lasting impression. You did size us up when we walked in here. You probably figured out I'm pretty fun. But anyways, how to build your wardrobe, right? So we're all going to do different stuff, possibly, okay? First of all, invest your money in a good suit. You just never know when you need it. You might need it for something. It's going to last longer. It's a timeless look. It's not going away, whether that's a, slacks and a jacket, or for ladies, maybe slacks or a nice skirt and a jacket, a nice blouse, okay? Dress shirt for men, a tie. But shop smart, okay? Think in advance about what you need to buy for yourself. Shop the sales. There's lots of places to buy these things, right? You can buy something at Bell's, Stage Now, or whatever, or you could go to Men's Warehouse, right? But it needs to be something that's, affordable to you, but something that looks nice, fits you well as well, okay? So buy pieces in colors that are versatile. I know that's something that I actually focus on. I buy practical clothes, okay? When I buy pants, I may buy, one pair of pants and they match a variety of tops or a variety of shirts or whatever. Skirts as well, okay? So think about that palette of colors. We're talking, colors that are versatile. Well, we're talking black, khaki, navy, like these staple colors that you want to have in your wardrobe, okay? Seek the assistance, maybe I need to get on this side. Seek the assistance of a sales associate or a friend. Maybe you know somebody and you're like, hey, I really like the way you put yourself together, and I know you've been in the work environment a little while. Tell me what do I need to do? Maybe ask them, if you admire what they're doing, or maybe they're going into the same profession, or they're already in the same profession as you. Maybe ask them what you need to do, okay? Before shopping, look at your current wardrobe. It doesn't mean it's all out. I know sometimes when we look at our wardrobe, we're like, oh, I don't have anything in here to wear. Well, actually, you might have something in there to wear, so look at that and see what could go with other things. Maybe you don't need, 10 pairs of new pants. Maybe you need 2, whatever. So shop for fillers, okay? Well, what does that mean? Well, maybe it's a piece or 2. Maybe there's something that could go with what you already have that could make it look a little bit versatile, okay? So maybe a sweater of some sort. You can wear the sweater with something, or maybe without, by itself, right? So save money by matching the new and the old. Well, there's a lot of trends out there, right? And sometimes we want to be a little trendy on some things, but try not to spend too much money on those trendier items, because why? Because they're going to go away at some point. I don't know, maybe the 70s have come back. But you know what I'm saying. Like, you may have to keep something in your wardrobe for 25 years before it comes back. Think of these things before you go out and buy stuff. So we're going to talk about the basics for women and the basics for men. I'm going to cover women, and Sharita is going to cover some basics for men. But the essentials, like I said, okay, we're talking black, navy, tan, or gray. They go with everything, pretty much, okay? You can wear those colors with a wide variety of other colors, okay? Bottoms for women, dress pants, skirts, okay? We're not wearing shorts to work, ever. Maybe a dress, okay? Or for men, maybe a more casual slack and maybe a more dressier slack, okay? Tops, button-down shirts, blouse, jackets, sweaters, okay? Basics for men, we're talking, of course, black, navy, tan, gray, same thing, okay? Slacks, khakis, variety of colors, but maybe in that same palette. My husband, he goes out every single day. He's a sales rep, and I think he only has about 4 pair of pants, because they just go with everything he has. So y'all know probably some of these things, but think about this before you get out there into the workforce. Your button-down shirts, polos, jacket, ties. I mean, maybe you can wear a tie where you're going to work. Maybe it's more a little bit more casual. Maybe you're not going to need to wear a tie somewhere. Maybe a polo's going to be okay. A nice button-down polo's okay. Just depends on the work environment that you're going to. Any questions about that so far? Nope, we're good? All right. So, specifics for women, basics for women. Jewelry, you know, like today I have on a pair of stud earrings. You know, they kind of just go with whatever, right? You can dress them up, you can dress them down. What? They do. I love them because, you know, you can buy gold, silver, whatever, and they just kind of go with whatever. They make a little bit more tailored statement, okay, that you're a little bit more put together, you know, as opposed to maybe Sharita has on a long earring, and they're fun, and they're a little bit more trendy, but they go very, very well with her outfit. Does that make sense? So modest necklaces, not too much of loud stuff. When you're talking to someone and you're doing a presentation, or maybe you're doing, you know, you're up in front of a classroom, or whatever the case may be. Maybe you're going on a job interview. That could take away. They're going to remember, oh my gosh, I couldn't get over looking at that necklace she was wearing. Okay, so you want them to look at you. You want them to see you. Couple of rings are probably okay. I have on a couple rings, but when they cover every single finger, like, wow, that girl really likes some rings, doesn't she? You know, keep that down to maybe one per hand, okay? Watches obviously are acceptable. Brooches are acceptable in a jacket or sweater. A nice lapel type pin, those are also very nice. When you're grooming yourself, okay, we all, you know, we want to look sharp. We want to look put together. Your hair should be neat and clean. When you're walking somewhere and you're doing an interview, or you're meeting with the public, or you're, you know, dealing with a client or whatever, and they see greasy hair, they think, oh, she's kind of not real put together. You know, I mean, they're thinking that. First impressions, right? So make sure you take care of yourself there. Nails should be neutral in color. You know, I know we all like fun colors, and there's all these different, you know, dark colors that are out right now and so forth, but neutral colors on your hands is good. Makeup should look natural as well, you know. You've got a whole bunch of purple, you know, going on here and whatever, then it takes away from what you may be doing. Accessories, again, you know, a handbag, scarf, belt, those are versatile items that can be changed out. Right, but keep those things to a minimum as well. And then body modifications, we're talking about tattoos and things like that. Body piercings, you know, there's something called a little bit too much. You know, I know in our workforce, okay, where we are able to have visible tattoos, but you may want to look over the policy of that new employer where you're going and find out what their policies are, okay? Good rule of thumb is, you know, cover it up, you know, because it depends on the work environment that you're in, you know, if you're, you know, it just depends on the work environment that you're in, okay? We know that they've become more popular as the years have gone on. So just be careful with that. Any questions about that? No? Awesome. Well, I'm going to turn it over to Sharita.
Alrighty. So some of this is going to be kind of repetitive, but I want a little feedback from you all. So all of you are here today, and you're obviously going to school to get your education so you can move on and so you can be in the workforce, right? Most of what we're talking about is going to be when you have that first interview. And so I'm breaking all the rules today because I have on bright colored pants, I have big earrings, and I have dark nails on. But when I showed up for my interview, I had a plain black or a plain navy dress, some pumps that were nude. And so I just say you kind of got to get in the door, see what the culture is like, and then you can kind of be a little expressive with who you are. So Caitlin, what do you plan on doing after you get out of school, after you graduate? What are you majoring in?
Management and information systems.
Management and information systems. So you're more than likely going to be managing a team. And so you are already going in with the sense that you're currently a student, but you want to be a manager one day. And so if she wants to be a manager, she needs to lead by example. So when she goes to that interview, she's not exactly sure what the culture is unless she's really done some research. And even then, like Blythe said, stuff is steadily progressing. When I first started working at Mobile, you had to cover up all your tattoos. And we just had a policy recently where you can show your tattoos. And so we know that when it comes to hair and things like that, things really do change and times change as well, but you want to start out by pretty much going with the flow. So if you are going to show up for an interview, you want something that's going to be tactful and that's going to be professional. And so for men, we like to wear jewelry too, not just the women, right? And so some of the guys that I work with, they are wearing a wedding band, but then they graduated from like UT or A&M and they want to wear their class ring or something like that. If you're a student athlete and maybe you got that championship, your last year in college, maybe you want to sport that ring. So I say one ring on each hand would be good. Maybe a modest necklace. If you're wearing a button-down shirt, maybe tuck it in, and that's going to be fine and presentable. Don't wear rings on every finger. Keep the jewelry to a minimum. Conservative watches. I know we all like to, have a little bling, but when you're going to go on that first interview, a nice leather band or something that's sporty is probably going to be the look you're actually wanting to go for. When we're talking about cufflinks, obviously you're only going to wear cufflinks if you're wearing a long sleeve shirt, a long sleeve button down shirt. And I usually only see cufflinks when people are wearing slacks, not really with khakis or something like that. Cufflinks can get a little flashy too, so make sure those are pretty simple and conservative as well. When we are talking about grooming, we're talking about hair and facial hair. It should be neat and clean. I've seen different things when it comes to facial hair. So if you're working, and I see a couple people out here with facial hair, usually if you're working in the plants, they make you shave your facial hair. So it's all about if you're going in for an interview or you're going to be in an office job, a plant job or something like that. But if you're wanting to be an engineer at Exxon or if you're wanting to be a machinist at Entergy or something like that, you're probably going to shave that facial hair for the initial interview. You get in there, see what the policy is, and then maybe you let your beard hang low. You never know. When we are talking about nails, now I don't see a lot of men painting their nails. But if I shake your hand and I'm the person doing the interview, I want to shake clean hand. So your nails need to kind of be neat and clean, even for our guys. You don't have to be manicured. We're not, telling you to go to the extreme if you don't want to. But hey, that definitely is going to make an impression when you're shaking a couple hands in the room, whether your nails are clean or not. Last but not least, some of our men, are a little metro and they like to add the accessories as well. I saw you looking at your nails. How they look? Short is good. We do not want your nails to be long. That, leaves a little more room for them to get dirty. So when you go to eat lunch, if they're short and you're eating with your hands, maybe you went to Buffalo Wild Wings that day or something like that, then, it's easier for those nails to be clean when they're short. So men like accessories as well, and so maybe a scarf if it's wintertime. And if you're in a location, maybe not in Southeast Texas, but if you were up north interviewing somewhere like that, then you want, to wear a nice scarf that is a neutral color, not necessarily a bright print or anything like that. A vest is always acceptable with a button-down shirt, long sleeve, that looks good. A tie and a tie clip if you're wanting to get nice and fancy that day. And a handkerchief to add a little spice to your outfit, I feel like. And then nowadays, I see more and more guys wearing like fanny packs and satchel bags. And you're shaking your head, no, you're not wearing a satchel bag? More and more guys are carrying a briefcase and they're wearing the side shoulder bags. So if that is something you want to do, think about this. If you're going to an interview and you have to bring some resumes, you have to bring your portfolio if you're a graphic design artist, something of that sort where you just don't have it on a jump drive, you want to carry it in something other than, manila folder and show that you're showing a little initiative. And so that might be a nice touch when it comes to it. When we're talking about body modifications, I say cover it all up until you actually get the job and you see, what your employer allows. Same thing with, we were just talking about earrings and gauges, and so I wanted to get Allison's perspective on, people that have the gauges in their ears. So do you take them out for the interview? Do you leave them in? You really can't hide them because they can see, the hole there. So what do you do in that case, Allison?
We were discussing that most of the time, if people just put in a neutral gauge, a skin color, something that, that matches and doesn't draw a lot of attention to it, that's pretty acceptable. I have had people in interviews offer to, let it grow over, and I appreciate that. That's not necessarily something that we would force someone to do if they got a job with us, but at least putting that out there was, I thought, it was a nice gesture. And it went a long way in the actual interview.
Yeah, so you probably scored some brownie points by saying, you know what, I know that you may have perceived something a certain way, but I'm willing to make alterations if I need to get this job. So it just shows that you're willing to go the extra mile. So you got to sell yourself, and the first thing that people are going to be able to see is your appearance, and then second, they're going to look at your resume and your talents and things of that sort. So make sure that when you're selling yourself, we actually want to buy it. you know. And so when we are talking about the types of dress, of course there are 3 types of dress. There is business professional, there's business casual, and then there's just casual. And if you get to dress casual in the workplace, you're pretty lucky. We actually have jean days just depending on what's going on. So it's football season. So we can wear jeans on Fridays if we wear like a football shirt, only if it's a Cowboy shirt. I'm just kidding. You can wear any football shirt, and you can wear a baseball team shirt, a local team. And typically everybody wears jeans on Fridays. Well, when I first started, my supervisor, Lori Higgins, told me that she doesn't wear jeans on presentation days. Did she tell me I couldn't wear jeans? She didn't. But, you know, you have to dress for the job that you may want. And so Lori may retire one day. You never know. And so I felt like if she didn't wear jeans on presentation days and she was putting in that effort, then I wanted to do the same. And especially if she was my boss and setting an example for me like that, I was going to follow her lead. So it's something we got jean day today too, and I dressed up for y'all. So y'all should have clapped a little harder when we came in. And so, even though I broke all the rules. And so when we're talking about business professional, that's going to be your button-down long sleeve shirt. Not necessarily always a tie, but a button-down long sleeve shirt for sure. Or maybe a button-down long sleeve shirt with a sweater over it. When we are talking about business professional, it doesn't necessarily mean you need to have a 3-piece suit on. That's usually reserved for a wedding, a graduation, or something a little more formal if y'all have a Christmas party at work or something of that sort. But we are talking about putting your best foot forward and maybe taking that nicest jacket out of the closet you have. When we're talking about business casual, that's going to be more so like your collar or polo shirt with the 3 buttons and some khakis and a nice belt, and I like the belt and shoes to match. And when we're talking about business casuals for ladies, that's usually, a floral dress with some nice heels, maybe a kitten heel, whatever you want to wear. And like I said, we have some days where we do wear casual attire, but it depends on where I'm going and who I'm talking to. If I'm going to talk to a group of elementary students, then I'm probably going to wear some flats that day because I'm going to get down on the floor and I'm going to be relatable to them. So it's all about what you're doing that day. And I'm going to let Blythe talk to you a little bit about professional business attire when it comes to women. And I'm going to rotate out with her, and I'm going to talk about what gentlemen can do.
All right. So we were talking, she talked about, the environment that you're in and so forth. I want to stress to you, be pressed for, your dress. We see a lot of, different people in the work environment, in different settings within the work environment. So iron your clothes, make sure that they're ironed and they look neat and pressed. I mean, you've got, your hair's done, your nails look good, you've got the right jewelry on, but if you look frumpy, that also says something about you as well. You didn't take the time and the effort to actually iron your clothes. So your clothes need to be pressed. Okay, so as far as appropriate business professional dresses, it just really includes, like I said, slacks, a modest skirt. What is a modest skirt? Well, it's not a mini skirt. There's a lot of very nice business suits out there, but you probably want to try that on for yourself and say, okay, my legs are too tall for that. I can't wear that. Or maybe it's a little bit too long. It looks strange. It doesn't fit you well. You want to find clothes that fit you well, and they do need to be within a modest reason. The matching jacket, that could be, that's not a jean jacket, right? That's more of a casual look. So when you're doing professional dress, it's a very nice tailored jacket that when you raise your arms, it's not too tight across here. It fits your bust line very well, and so forth. So, of course, a button-up shirt or maybe an equivalent blouse. Whenever you, again, ladies, you're doing a lot of things whenever you're at work. Maybe you're stooped down, or maybe you have to greet people. Be mindful of that when you're buying shirts, okay? Closed-toed plain heels. That's just a really good rule of thumb. Especially if you're going to wear, I know in the summertime we do have, peep toes and so forth, but a closed-toe heel is very professional. And, be mindful of how long you've had them, okay? I know, they get scuffed up on the back. They can get messed up in the front. And so if you've got this gray outfit on and your shoes look messed up, you might need to get some new shoes. So, but a closed-toed plain heel shoe is always professional, okay? And I know we talk about patent leather and regular leather and so forth. Think about the seasons that you're in as well and know what season that outfit needs to go with. Of course, a sweater with a nice, button-up shirt underneath is always very nice, with a nice slack or maybe a shirt or, pantsuit. Overall, the goal here is to look as best as you can at all times. Again, you dress to impress for the position that you want to be in. I know that, growing up, this is crazy because a long time ago we had to wear pantyhose, with every pants or, dresses and things like that. Now we don't have to do all that, but you do need to know that, you need to look as best as you can whenever possible. It doesn't mean pantyhose, but maybe it does mean pantyhose that day. I don't know. It just depends on the position that you're in. Especially when you're meeting new clients, you're representing the company, you are the face of that organization. And so that says a lot about that organization as well. So, the way you dress, obviously, it represents not only who you are, but your company. So, good rule of thumb, if you have any question about it, when in doubt, you may either need to hang it up and not wear it to work, or don't wear it to work. So, any questions about that? No? Okay. She's going to talk about professionalism for me, I think.
Yes. All right, guys. So when we are talking about what to wear when it comes to business professional, remember this is going to be interview attire, or this is going to be if you're going to a formal event or something of that sort. So if we are talking about a interview, we're pretty much going to put our best foot forward. All of these looks here I think are acceptable. He has his sleeves rolled up. I feel like save that for after you get out of the interview and when you get in the car. And then you can roll those sleeves up. But other than that, I think all of them have pretty acceptable looks. I know most of these slides say that your jacket needs to match your pants, but we do see a lot of looks here where the jackets don't match the pants, and I think they look very well as, very good as well. You just got to make sure you do it right. So if you don't think you can pull it off, if it's going to be a red jacket and green pants or something of that sort, then maybe hold off on that look until the Christmas party. But if it's something where it is like neutral, where you can wear like a light colored pant, gray or khaki, and then add a dark colored jacket, navy or something like that, I like that look. That's a good look. And I also like when the tie doesn't necessarily, specifically match everything you have on and just blends in. But I will say go with smaller prints that aren't as noticeable and flashy. And so I definitely think they all did a good job. So a suit means business. And so when you walk in a room, and just think about it when you see people and people walk into a room, and typically, you either think, oh, I need to talk to the boss or something like that. You automatically think it's the person in the suit, right? And so think about that. A suit means business. When it comes to your button-up collar shirt, make sure it is buttoned all the way to the top. I don't really necessarily like when the first 4 buttons or the first 3 buttons are all the way down on men. I think it's a more relaxed look, and I think if you're going for a more conservative look, you don't necessarily have to button it all the way up to the neck, but I would definitely button it up to the top. What do you think?
Me?
Yeah.
Well,
He's scared. He's like, oh gosh, it's not me.
I usually would like to keep it all open, but
You like to keep it all open?
not all.
Like how far down?
3 buttons down, but if I'm going to an interview, probably just the first button.
Yeah, just the first button open. Yeah, so you can breathe a little bit. And then what about the points? You know how sometimes you can button the points on your shirt?
No button.
You don't button those points. I don't know. I think I like it when sometimes the points are buttoned too. So I don't know. I usually don't see female shirts like that, but with the men's shirts, I do see that. I like the nice stiff collar too when it comes to men's shirts. Y'all see that commercial where it was talking about the bacon collar for the Hanes t-shirts? I know y'all have seen that commercial. Well, I like a nice stiff collar. It looks iron and neat. And so a nice fitted pair of slacks. We definitely don't want your slacks to be sagging. That's not going to be a professional look. Add a little subtlety with your tie. Having a tie with just some stripes, or like I said, a subtle print. Carefully choose your dress shoes. We want you to have a nice pair of shoes when it comes to being business professional, but you don't necessarily have to have like the black and white Oxfords that are patent leather that you would wear like with a tuxedo or something like that. Last but not least, you can always elevate your look with the right accessories. Maybe just a handkerchief, and maybe it's just a solid white one that's tucked in a nice navy jacket. To me, that's definitely a good look. How many men in here do not have a suit? Raise your hand if you don't have a suit. A full bodysuit, yeah, like a jacket and the pants. You do not? You see that bottom line there? Can you see it from where you're sitting? Every man needs at least one suit in their wardrobe. And so I encourage you, if you already have the pants, just go buy a jacket to match. It doesn't necessarily have to be the exact same brand, and you know, you have to have bottom at the same time, but definitely if you have a nice pair of black or a nice pair of blue pants, try to go find a jacket to match. And that definitely will help you out on that interview. Once you get in the interview, you can take that jacket off and hang it on the chair, but you want to walk in with your best foot forward. Business casual for women.
So when we're talking about that, so what do you think that is anyway? Let's just get some feedback. What do you think that is? Casual for women. Business casual
So it
for
doesn't
women.
have to be like the blazer, but you know, like a nicer shirt, pants.
Exactly. So, I mean, it all depends on, you know, obviously where you're working, what, you know, what kind of casualness that is. But honestly, business casual is just, you know, maybe some slacks, khakis, maybe some ankle pants. Okay. I know we're allowed to wear those at work, and we were all super excited when we got to do that. But again, you know, just a little bit more, it's still dressed up, but not dressed in a suit or a nice suit skirt outfit. Dress shirt or blouse or a knit top. So like, you know, you can see some of these examples here. You know, they don't have on a suit, but they look very professional. You know, she has on a nice top and some, you know, some, what do you call those now? Culottes or something? What are they called? That's what they're called. Anyway, they're nice pants. She has on a nice skirt and a blouse, right? But they still look professional. They still have a nice tailored look to them, but they're not in a suit. So, you know, maybe that open collared shirt, a polo style. Sharita's got on a really nice collared shirt today. She's still, you know, she's not, you know, too dressed up, but she's definitely dressed for her profession, which is good, right?
I'm definitely business casual.
Business casual today. So, you know, C-stool sport coat, a casual blazer, a nice sweater, a dress or a skirt at knee length or below. Like I said, you know, you have to kind of watch that, especially through the seasons. You know, because in the spring and summer, it always seems like they get shorter and shorter. And you're like, but I really like that, but I can't buy that because it's just too short. You also have to think about, you know, your body style and your type, your type. So, you know, loafers, booties, dress shoes. You know, I know those booties came back, and you can wear them with like pants, or you can wear them with a dress, or you can wear them, you know, with different outfits, and that's, you know, those are versatile. Think about these things though whenever you are thinking about buying your palette, buying the things that you have. Are they going to go with a lot of things that you have as well? So for business casual. Any questions about any of that? No? Okay. Oh, here we go.
All right, business casual for men. So, how many of you guys thought about what you put on today, or did you just get dressed and roll? You thought about what you put on today? Yeah. So, I don't know. I feel like clothes are an expression of who you are and how you're feeling that day. I definitely sometimes when I get dressed, I'm like, I look good today and I feel good today.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely a reflection sometimes of my mood. And I feel like that can be the case for everyone, you know? And so I feel like business casual can be a various amount of things. All of these looks here are a little more, I feel like, on the dressier business casual side. But one thing I did want to mention is blue jean has definitely come back in. Have y'all been seeing like a lot of blue jean shirts lately? Yeah, I know you have. So I feel like, well, I can't wear jeans to work if I'm trying to be business casual or business professional. So is it acceptable for me to wear a blue jean shirt? I think it's all about how you do it. That I have been able to pull off a blue jean shirt that is tucked into a nice skirt and with some wedges or some heels. And so I think even in this case, if he was to tuck his shirt in and maybe have on a belt as well, I think in the business casual realm, you definitely want to tuck your shirt in, gentlemen. And so slacks or khakis, I think khakis or dickies are more in the business casual. Now a lot of colored pants are coming out, a button-down short sleeve shirt. And so instead of it being a long sleeve button-down shirt, now they're making the really fashionable shirts that are short sleeve that button down. And I see a lot of guys wear those, and those look really nice. A knit or open collar polo, a seasonal sports coat, a casual blazer or sweater. Have y'all seen the blazers now that are like cotton as opposed to like a suit material? Yes, no?
Cardigan?
Not a cardigan, it actually looks like a jacket, but it's more of a cotton material. It has a collar and everything. Y'all gotta shop a little bit more. So, but those are definitely out there, and they definitely are very inexpensive. You can get one for like $19.99 somewhere like a Ross, a Marshalls, a Suit Mart, or somewhere like that. And they're definitely, I think he has one on, in fact. And they're definitely a cotton material, so they're comfortable and they're more of a casual look. They can go from day to night. So if you're going to a work event during the day and then you have to go to the after hours networking event, it's definitely a transitional piece. Last but not least, if you are looking for business casual for men, you can go with a nice loafer, you can go with some tie-up shoes, and I see a lot of fashionable shoe boots nowadays, and those look really well for men also.
So, the don'ts. Let's talk about the don'ts. We already said, shorts, right? I mean, have been allowed to, like again, within your organization or so forth, you definitely don't want to wear shorts to your interview, but once you get there, you might again want to look at the policy and see if you're allowed to wear shorts at a specific time, gentlemen or ladies. But I know like us during the summertime, because it's so hot and, we're moving around, we've got, we're in and out of the building or whatever, but we are allowed to wear shorts, and they are like knee length though. So that goes for men or women. So it just depends on if you want to wear them, but also depends on the company and the profession that you're going to be in. Again, if you're, a CPA, I'm pretty sure you're not going to be wearing shorts to work. But anywho, t-shirts. So again, t-shirts, depends on the organization, but don't wear a t-shirt to work that says something on the front, especially with graphics or whatever. It's one thing to wear a t-shirt like under a button-up collared shirt, for men, or maybe one of those, what's it called? It's a sleeveless top that shirt that men can put on underneath their clothing.
Oh, white.
A what? Just an undershirt. You know what I'm talking about. So we don't want to wear those to work, all by themselves. Muscle shirts. T-shirts, muscle shirts. We don't want to walk in with those. Be like, peace out, y'all. But anyways, flip-flops or slides, sandals, I don't know what everybody's going to be doing in their different profession. I mean, closed-toe shoes are always, professional, okay, or business casual. Political or religious views on clothing, just steer clear of that, okay? Steer clear of that. Inappropriate or derogatory images or phrases. You would never want to offend someone that you're working with, you're trying to get along with, or you're dealing with in the public, especially a client or so forth. And so you need to think about, again, are you representing your organization well? You are the company when they look at you. Okay, so too baggy, too form-fitting attire. This goes for men and women, okay? If it's a little bit too frumpy or too baggy, or if it, it looks way too tight, that says something about you. And so, again, you want to put your, the best impression that you can towards others and those that you're dealing with in the public every day, and that really does matter. Visible undergarments. We don't want anybody to see our undergarments. Keep your undergarments covered up at all times. Low-cut blouses or skin showing inappropriately. You're in a professional setting. And so there may be a time and a place for certain outfits that you have in your closet or within your wardrobe. But your company and your organization that you're going to be working for is not the place for that. So keep those things in mind whenever you are choosing attire.
Next, we're going to talk a little bit about professional setting do's and don'ts. And when we say a professional setting, that may be the office place, that may be an after-work event, that may be a company Christmas party, something of that sort. And usually it is a little different just depending on where you're going. If I'm going to a elementary school, that's going to be a little different from me going to an after-work networking happy hour. So you got to kind of think about the environment. You got to think about the atmosphere. Is it indoor, outdoor? You have to think about who you are surrounding yourself with. Are these potential clients? Or am I with colleagues? Am I with upper management? Things of that sort. And I think all of those things come into play, because if you're going to be with your colleagues and there are people there in the same profession and you all have a like interest. I am a part of like a Southeast Texas Young Professionals organization. Well, everywhere I go, I pretty much try to promote my business. But if I go to a YPO group, I know there's going to be 5 or 6 other credit unions there. So I may not be as aggressive with the promotion, depending on who I'm around. And so there is a time and place for everything. And even in our company setting, we have, times where we can let our hair down and have fun. But you still have to be mindful that you are at work and you're surrounded by people that you want to be respected by. So I think some professional setting dues are always going to be, whether it's to the office, whether it's to an after work event or something of that sort, try to get there early and arrive on time. If there is something going on and the speaker's up on the podium and you're the only one walking in and you can hear those doors, when you're walking into that conference room, it's really awkward. And so everybody's going to turn around and look and know that you're late. It's not going to be like you may just be able to slip in the back. So definitely try to arrive on time, leave home early, GPS knows directions ahead of time, or text somebody immediately once you realize that you're going the wrong way, like I always do, Lori. And so when we're talking about attire in a professional setting, read the handbook, wear a name tag if it's appropriate. Usually if I'm going to a networking event, I am constantly shaking hands and introducing myself. It makes it a little bit easier for people to remember what company I'm with if they've just shook 10 other hands if I am wearing a name tag. So I try to always wear my name tag if I'm going somewhere where it's appropriate. If I'm going to an after work event, I always read the invite. There may be some fine print that says, there is going to be costume attire depending on the type of year or a Mardi Gras theme or whatever it is. And so you want to be able to fit in for all the right reasons and make sure you have that attire that is going to be appropriate for that event. When it comes to business cards, I always have business cards on me, whether I'm at work or not. I just never know when an opportunity is going to present itself. And so I literally will carry like a little zipper pouch with like maybe 200 or so business cards on me. And I just always like to be prepared. You never know when you're going to walk in a room and, somebody says, oh, can I have a card? And then that is a triple or ripple effect rather. And you're going to have to pass out 50 cards and you may have to go to the next event. So just always be prepared when it comes to business cards. If you're in the type of industry where you don't have business cards, then sometimes that name tag is going to do it for you. I know in Southeast Texas we have a lot of individuals that are in the industrial realm, so they're wearing Nomex and they have their name on them and their company, and so that is a way that people are able to identify you when you're in a room. Make sure that if you're walking into a room, you're able to make that conversation with people and don't be nervous about it. At the end of the day, if you're wanting to get to know somebody for, their products or services, or you want to partner with them, do business with them, you may have to initiate that conversation. It may be awkward, but I promise you, as soon as you give them your name, they're going to do the same thing, and it's going to be easy, just like you were trying to meet, someone new in a different or more informal setting. When we are talking about email, phones, and text, there are a lot of rooms or rules, I feel like, when it comes to this. And so I'm just briefly saying, if you're going to send an email, make sure you are very clear about it. If there is any, uncertainties, you may want to just call that person and make sure it's clear. If you're emailing somebody or somebody's emailing you, you want to respond in a timely manner, especially if it's about business. Everybody says time is money, and that really is the case. When we are getting an email from someone, we want to make sure we always use those golden rules. Say please and thank you and seem like we're gracious that we're able to do business with that person. And those simple things go a long way. I try to avoid emojis and things like that when it comes to emails. Not everybody has the same, type of emails they're receiving. So if I'm using Outlook and you're using Google, my emoji may translate a little bit different. And so I try to avoid that, even though that's becoming more and more popular as well. I feel like clarity is very important. So whether it is a text, a phone call, or an email, if you're doing business with someone and I feel like you're unclear on what they're saying, I say just go ahead and call them and, get it all out in the open. When it comes to body language, we know the rules of thumb that you need to make eye contact, have a firm handshake, make sure we are sitting appropriately if we're ladies, even if you have on pants that day, it just kind of tells a little bit about yourself when you have good posture. And so it's something I always have to be conscious of, and I just always have to think of. But as soon as I sit down, you know, and I find myself, and I just, you know, will sit up and kind of readjust myself. And I think that's the same thing for men and women. And so it just says, you know what, I'm here about business, I look professional, and I'm ready to talk, I'm open, and I'm willing to, you know, meet new people. And so do you all have any questions about any of these things? No? All right. Well, Blythe is going to talk about some of the professional setting don'ts. Where do you want me to go?
Here, it's fine. So again, like she said, don't be late. Leave home early. Research what you're going to do before you need to get there. If you have to leave early, and sometimes you do, make sure that you do it in a very gracious way. You're not causing us, you know, people to be like, oh, you know, you're just rumbling down the stairs to walk out the door or whatever, or you walk out the front instead of maybe a side. Just depends on what setting you're at and what you're doing. You know, if you're at a function and you're with a lot of people, and you know, just say, you know, hey, thank y'all so much for having me. I appreciate the invite. I've really enjoyed this evening. Unfortunately, I have another, thing I have to get to right now. So, or, you know, whatever the case may be. But, you know, make a quiet exit, you know, if it's something that you just need to slip away from, okay? Attire. Making assumptions about what you're supposed to wear is never a good idea. You want to be prepared for the setting that you're going to be in, whether that be your work setting or an after-hours work event. Of course, like she said, you know, if you're supposed to be wearing, you know, a costume and you show up in your professional work attire, you will feel like a little bit out of sorts. Like maybe, gosh, you know, I should have read that entire invite to see what I needed to do. You want to be prepared for that and ahead of time. You know, scrambling to do something at the last minute, that can be difficult too. So don't make assumptions. Ask others, you know, maybe, hey, have you been to this before? Or so forth, you know, what am I supposed to wear? You know, so that sort of thing. You know, a conversation, listen. Don't talk the entire time. A conversation is where two people interact with one another and they have, you know, they talk. So you want to, you know, let them speak, listen to what they have to say, respond, you know, that sort of thing. It's always very good. Ask questions. That open-ended questions help, you know, open up people to, you know, give you more feedback or, you know, make the conversation flow better. You want to learn something about someone, so that's always good too. Email, phone, text, you know, sending things HR won't approve of via email. So, you know, gossiping about other coworkers or, you know, sending negative or foul language over an email is never a good idea. Most of the time, your business, your organization, whoever it is that you're going to work with or work for, especially your, you know, your supervisor or something, whatever, they're not going to approve of that. And they could probably pull those emails and if they wanted to find out what all you've sent. So just when in doubt, don't ever do something like that. You know, we want to be professional, we want to be encouraging and that sort of thing to our other coworkers as well. You know, don't have your phone out all the time. You know, when you go to a meeting, you know, yes, sometimes we do need to, you know, interact with people or clients or things like that or answer. Maybe we're waiting on a phone call or we're waiting for, you know, an email to come through or something like that. But be mindful of that. You don't want to have it sitting, you know, right beside you every second and you're like, oh yeah, yeah. You know, you're engaging in what's going on, okay? You're present in the moment. So be mindful of those emails and those phone calls and those text messages and things like that. It does say a lot about you. You know, it does say, okay, well, obviously something's more important. You know that as well. So when you're talking with someone, maybe you just met them or you've known them for a while and they look down at their phone constantly, you're like, hey, I'll see you later. You know, it looks like you're busy, right? Well, you know, that's the impression that you're getting to people. So events, again, read the invite. RSVP, if they've asked you to RSVP, don't just show up. You know, maybe they've had to prepare for a specific amount of people who are going to be at that event. And they need to know how many are going to be there. You need to make sure that you're RSVPing to the right persons as well. You know, just telling somebody you're gonna be there may not be the way that you need to do that. So you need to make sure and read those invites. Maximum 2 drinks, okay? You know, sometimes work events, after hours events and things like that, they're gonna have alcohol and, you know, some light drinking, I guess you could call it. But, you know, when you're in a setting and you're representing your company, okay, no matter what event that it is, you want to be able to talk and people to understand you and not be sloshing around your words, or somebody go, man, geez, you know, I think we're going to have to help her to her car. You know, that's never good. That sets an impression about, you know, yeah, I saw her at work and she's like this at work, but, you know, when she's not at work, I mean, I didn't know that. You know, I didn't know that she, you know, wants to get drunk or whatever the case may be. So be mindful of that. Minimum of 2 drinks, you know, just don't go overboard there, okay? People are, again, wanting to engage with you and talk to you about maybe work or clients or so forth. Thank the host for, before you leave, maybe send a note or an email or something like that and say, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed the event. You know, can't wait for next year's event or whatever. So these are just some good tips and tools, you know, some resources to not do. Any questions? You want me to keep going? Okay. Is that it? All right, that's it. Y'all have any questions? Awesome. Well, thank y'all so much for having us. We appreciate it.